Hey Cardfighters, Chris here from Vanguard Central, bringing you a Musketeer Legion deck profile. So starting off, we have 4 Veras, her non-Legion skill being choose a Musketeer unit and retire it, and then look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and take a Musketeer card and then call it to rearguard. So it's good just for changing out units, trying to get the right field set up. And then her Legion skill is during the turn that you Legion with her, you give all your units plus 3,000. So that means every column gets plus 6,000, lets you hit for those super high numbers. She's good because you can be like a good push early or like a finisher. And next we're running the other Musketeer Legion, Martina. And her non-Legion skill is that if there's another unit in the middle column, she's going to get plus 3,000 when she attacks. And then her Legion effect is Counterblast 1, and then choose 5 normal Musketeer units, so not triggers, from your drop zone, and then shuffle them back into the deck. Sorry, I believe it's put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, and choose 2 Musketeers and call them to rearguard. And that's good because you're paying 1 counterblast, and even though you're adding more normal units to the deck, you end up getting plus 2 cards for 1 counterblast. So next are the grade 2s. We're starting with 3 12k attackers. And he's obviously good for that early aggression, but he's super important for making 21k columns, which you'll see a bit later. And then we're running 4 of Vera's mates, Saul. His skill is that during the turn you Legion, when you attack with Saul, you can choose 3 normal Musketeer units from your drop zone and put them on the bottom of your deck in any order. And if you do that, then you're going to draw a card. So when you Legion and you attack with Saul, you're basically getting just free pluses. And if you hit a stand trigger, you can do it again, more free draws. Everybody loves free draws. Next is 4 of Martina's mates, Torre. Her effect is that when you call her to rearguard, if you're in Legion, you can choose a Musketeer and retire it, and then look at the top 4 cards of your deck and choose a Musketeer unit from that and call it to rearguard. Again, all about what Musketeers are doing, just setting up the right field. And this helps you do it even better. So next is the grade 1s. We have 3 perfect guards and 1 quintet wall. And the quintet wall is there because we're playing a double Legion deck. So sometimes you want to use a quintet wall to fill your drop zone for Legion. And it's also going to fill your drop zone with possibly non-trigger Musketeer units, which are helpful for Saul's and Martina's abilities. It makes them easier to go off without using so many of your Musketeer retiring effects. So next is 4 Rebecca's. Her effect is when you call her, you counterblast 1, and then if you call her to rearguard, or if on your Vanguard circle, you can counterblast 1, choose a Musketeer, retire it, and then check the top 4 cards of your deck and choose a Musketeer and call it to rearguard, just like Torre. Helps you set up the field, and also you're going to shuffle your deck afterwards. And the shuffling comes important with this next card, Mirka, who really brings the deck together, lets you make a lot of power lines, because even though she's 6,000, when she boosts and you shuffled sometime during that turn, either before or after she was called, she gets plus 3,000, which makes her 9,000. So going back to the 12k attacker, 9,000 plus 12,000 is 21, and if you can do that consistently every turn, you're going to put your opponent in a pretty bad spot. So that's why we run 4 of her, to get those power columns a lot easier. And the last of the grade 1s are 2 Susanna's, and her effect is when she's called to rearguard, you Soul Blast 2 and Unflip 2. And the Soul Blast is good for 1, helping you Legion earlier if you need to, and gets the non-triggers into your drop zone for Martina and Saul's effects. And lastly, the unflip is really important because there's a lot of counterblast effects, and you can run out pretty easily if you're not careful. So lastly, doing the triggers, we're doing a rainbow setup, so that's 4 crits, 4 heals. That should be Musketeer, but Sweet Honey's awesome. So 4 draws and 4 stands. And the stand is kind of like the Musketeer version of Catch Goal. So when it's on the rear guard, you can counterblast 1 and then put it on the bottom of your deck. And then you get to look at the top 4 for a Musketeer and call it to rear guard. So puts it back in the deck, and you can shuffle it with your other effects so you get more stands later. Also helping you set up that field just in case this is the only Musketeer you can call. And then lastly is the starter. And the starter's effect is Counterblast 1 when it's put into the drop zone from rear guard. So do it to one of all your like Musketeer effects. You can pay the cost if you're in Legion. And then you get to search the top 4 for Musketeer and call it to rear guard. So helping you build your field while you're setting it up at the same time. So it's a great card.